Okay, one thing I think I see to understand this circuit is this red and black lead here. These are the filament, is the filament supply for the 271A tubes. This wire wound resistor network here is a voltage divider. It's 12.8 ohms that comes out here, goes to this resistor, and this 1000 ohm resistor right here is grounded. So this is a 1000 ohm resistor grounded after this voltage divider. There's also a 1 mic capacitor in parallel with this resistor, and I have a 5 mic electrolytic on that circuit. So I'm going to pull that electrolytic out of there and put a correct resistor in, which I think is not causing my problem, but that's one mistake I made. So anyways, as you remember, I put all four capacitors at 5 mics each, 4.7. This capacitor here doesn't need to be an electrolytic. I'm going to put this capacitor in its place, a 1 mic at 100 volts. That should be more than enough because that's off of the 5 volts or the 6 volt filament for the 71A tube. So I'm going to replace that capacitor. I don't think that's my problem, but at least I know that, that I need to correct this mistake. So I've corrected the mistake I believe I made on the 71A filament supply by putting this 1 mic at 100 volt ceramic capacitor in. And I don't think that's going to make a difference of what's going on with this, but at least I know that that was a mistake I made that I've now corrected. Now at this point, I've already double checked the windings of the two audio transformers that are underneath in the chassis. There's the power transformer, the choke is up under the can here, but under the chassis is the input and output audio transformers. And of course this is a push-pull circuit. So I'm trying to figure out what my problem is. This tube number 80, this 280, was pulled out of an old radio that I had, and there's a possibility that it's no good. The other situation is when I bring the power up, I get B plus voltage when there's no load on it, but when I put these two tubes in, it loads it right down. So the tubes, the 71As aren't shorted. The only thing I could think of was that mistake I made with that 1 mic capacitor, putting in a 5 mic electrolytic there instead. That might have been the problem. Maybe that somehow that capacitor was causing those tubes to conduct, to heavily conduct, and essentially turning them on and drawing the B plus down. I'm not really sure. And in order for, I have nothing that will test these old tubes. My tube testers will only test modern tubes. So I may have to get an oldie tube tester, and the problem with that is the tube tester itself will probably have to be restored before it can be used as a tube tester. So anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring power up now, and just I think this tube is bad, this 80, but it does still pass B plus voltage without these tubes plugged in. So let's just see what it does. Let me get that out of there. Let's just see what it does when I bring the power up. Now if you remember right, when I first did this, I actually had 365 volts. So I don't know if I've hurt the 5 microfarad electrolytics that are on the Pi network, or if the tube itself is suffering. Maybe it was bad to begin with, but I'm going to try it next with the 71A tubes plugged in and see what happens. Now I'm going to try it with the 71A tubes in it. Let's see what it does. That capacitor made a big difference, that 1 mic capacitor. I don't know how it's holding out for at 100, rated at 100 volts, but that 5 mic electrolytic I had on that cathode grounding system, that was wrong. That's obviously was part of my problem, was that wrong capacitor in there. So I think this tube is bad, and although it's working, there's a blue glow in one side of it, and I think that maybe I hurt this tube when it was drawing so much current with these tubes being biased incorrectly. I think that's a big problem there. So I'm going to have to maybe try another 80. I have a real nice Globe 80 tube, but I'm not going to put that in there and risk blowing it up. At this point, what I want to do is just see if I can get this radio to play. I'll keep trying this tube, but I have a feeling this tube is no good. I think I wrecked it, if it was any good when I put it in. Because I remember I saw a little bit of a flash in it when I put the tube in there. So we'll see. But obviously that capacitor, these tubes are now not conducting heavily, drawing down the current, because I could get the voltage up to 200 volts. So I'm making progress in figuring out my mistakes. We'll see what happens when I start working on this a little bit more.